Can't believe it. It's a thing? That's right everyone, Dragon Ball Super the Manga Chapter 58 is here, and right now it all seems to be heading to the end game. But something happened a little earlier than I'd expected, and it's something I am okay with, even though the initial comment would think that I wasn't. But more on that later. Either way, we are reviewing the manga of Dragon Ball Super until the hires up in the Dragon Room actually figure out what they want to do with their anime division, and remember that they like money. Thanks to Viz's online portal as well as the Shonen Jump app, I can keep up with the manga as can you, for next to nothing. And this isn't sponsored by the way, I'm just saying that this is a really nifty service, especially for you kids out there with your academias and your Yaiba checks. Chapter 58, Son Goku Arrives. Well, I mean they're not wrong. You know, Son Goku does arrive, but, you know. In any case, before we start, do check out the merch store for some cool offerings with this code to make it even sweeter. Use the code SUBS to get 10% off if you go to masako.cc/store. I would also like to pay my respects and condolences to the family of Luis Alfonso Mendoza, the Spanish-Mexican Gohan voice actor who was sadly taken from us way too soon since our last review. And I wish to reach out to the Mendoza family and say that he gave us all countless fantastic moments playing Gohan, and that we will always remember him. Thank you. Where we last left off, Krillin and Roshi were busy taking on Moro's goons, and sadly the latter submitted to his base instincts and even aped his Ultra Instinct-like powers against Jiren. It was like Toyotaro was rubbing salt into the wound with that unusual reference from the Tournament of Power saga. Either way, that was tempered with the fact that Krillin got his revenge against Yunba, and most importantly, Chaozu of all people was able to do the business and do something, using his sass to great effect. I can't tell you how happy I was to see that happen, and for Tenshinhan to be on the back foot in a situation where he would usually be so experienced at. Chalk one up for the little vampire dude. And oh yeah, Goku's here too. I don't mean to sound so casual about this, but it was basically expected for the longest time for him to be here, so, you know, it goes without saying. He was able to find Krillin's energy and be transported back to Earth much sooner than expected, ready to face Moro and his goons, and possibly get the jump on Vegeta. That being said though, I get the feeling that this might not be the case. When you're done with this review, by the way, do check out my 5 ways that the Moro arc could end video, and start voting on which ending that you think will happen. We begin our chapter with the sight of Goku looking down on 3 feminine foes that Krillin and Roshi were facing, and they actually have all been bested. It's almost like Goku's looking down on them and saying, "Oh man, I missed a chance to fight someone? Why do I bother?" Either way, he's not needed here, and Krillin has done his part. So, I guess that means we will not see him again in this arc. Bye! Oh, Roshi, you get your hands off them! I am very disappointed in you, mister! Seriously, he needs to get himself another session with Urien and fix that wrong. But before Goku departs, he believes that he is powerful enough to stop Moro, despite not knowing much about him, which is something that I could imagine is sort of unsettling him a little bit at the very least. Normally, Goku knows the ins and outs of an opponent, but this time he's going in relatively dark. Unsettled, maybe, yes, but he's still excited because it's Goku. He always has to be excited about everything. The Saiyan immediately jumps into the fray and saves Yamcha from a surprise attack from another Moro Mook. This goes as well as you would probably expect, with Goku stopping the grunts that Yamcha, Tenshinhan and Chaozu were being bested by. And then he's going to go on to the next fracas. And I'm not sure whether I like this because it's basically Goku going to his friends, "Okay you lot, you did your bit, now go back into the background where you belong." It sort of invalidates their efforts from the previous chapters in a way. Oh well, I mean at least we had that fleeting moment of Chaozu and Yamcha being real heroes in the previous outings. Yeah, we will always have our memories. Normal programming has been resumed, unfortunately. The next battle we see is the bigger one, with the buffed up Saganbo against the rest of the main dragon team, and the 4 of them are really struggling against him. The panels are very heavy with lines and action and motion. If this ever gets animated, and that's a big if right now, this is going to be a standout scene, I can assure you, with how it will look. After some father-son Piccolo and Gohan dual attacks, it's enough to cause Saganbo to do a double take. But only a double take. despite that mighty move, it looking very impressive, and it's actually really touching to the heart, Saganbo still is able to take them out, with Moro just standing around doing nothing, taking up the mantle of the dragon team sometimes during a battle.
Ah yes, so this is what winning feels like. Feels good.
GOKU is getting impatient with this plan not working, with even the likes of 17 starting to doubt his own skill. The patrolman starts to blurt out some interesting realizations, which provide some noteworthy distraction techniques forming. And it is all to do with the feeling that, despite Saganbo being all this powerful now, and technically free from his prison from the Galactic Patrol, he actually still is a prisoner, but this time of Moro, being his lapdog. It's enough to get Saganbo to stop, and then get floored. Him not having a clue about what happened to anybody. Okay, GOKU, you're actually being useful instead of moaning a lot. I mean, you're moaning still, but it's constructive moaning? We expect this intervention to be GOKU, but nobody can see or sense him. That is until GOKU's eyes show up! Yeah, turns out that despite GOKU being quite weak, his sass is backed up with a keen sense of eyesight. He is able to see Goku's attacks using merely his eyes instead of energy. They are all amazed by this, that Goku is moving so fast that nobody can track his ki of all things. And I will admit, that is a new level of power scaling that hasn't really been explored before in Dragon Ball. I mean, not often. Very well played, Toyotaro. This is a very good way of conveying a power gap, that your ki cannot be properly tracked. But Moro can see him too, and sure enough, GOKU was right again. Saganbo is indeed just a plaything. He's flicked out of the way by Moro, and even though he's gotten super strong, he is nothing in comparison to his master. And right now, I am getting very strong Cranberry flashbacks. I remember you, guy. GOKU is imagining himself right now, going up to that merc and going, "I told you so, prison scum." I mean, he wouldn't actually say it, but, you know, he would think it, and he would mean it. Very much so. Goku makes himself visible and is about to face Moro, but Saganbo rises up and offers to fight in his master's stead, despite the rest of the prisoners being recaptured by the Galactic Patrol and him being outclassed by Goku just now. Moro decides to humour this, but Goku is pretty nettled by this and proceeds to fight the mook out of impatience. But one thing that I noted was that Goku apologised for Gohan being dragged into all of this, that he had to fight. And it's like Goku's actually aware of his son's wants and needs. Is that Goku showing tact? Impossible. We're snapped out of this shock dialogue for Goku to play babysitter with Saganbo, all with a little dose of Super Saiyan Blue thrown in for good measure, which acts to toy with the minion who had given the rest of the group so much trouble. Within 4 pages, he is down for the count, and Goku is confident that he will not be getting back up again. The action in this section is pretty acrobatic in order to convey Goku's heightened agility, as well as showing up Saganbo's over-reliance on being sturdy, as it were. It's a cool addition, and the action is okay, but the panels are a little busy in this section, and it feels like it could do with some of them being cut out and allowing some of the remaining shots to expand a bit, breathe, really stand out visually. It just seems a bit standard. Anywho, it isn't over, with Saganbo getting Sagambolistic. Yeah, sorry, that was a bit of a stretch, wasn't it? But what's also a stretch is the power boost that Moro is giving his assistant. More of it, and it's gotten to the point where even Goku is getting spooked by all of this. He can tell that this body of Saganbo's is going to explode soon, if Moro's not careful. But I don't think Moro's being careful. Goku's trying to get Mercy to prevail, and offers to show the high-speed power, but Saganbo succumbs anyway to the energy overload. And actually the way that happens is pretty morbid for a manga such as this. However, it still suffers from the busy panel issue from earlier, which spoils the impact. It could do with 1 or 2 stills being removed again to make this impact even bigger. This is a key moment here. Goku is really angered by this act of coldness and cruelty from Moro, and is ready to show the power that he had managed to regain during his time with Miras earlier. And I think we all know what it's going to be. Sure enough, Goku just doesn't surprise us all, and he goes up to Ultra Instinct Sign, or Omen. Not Mastered, Omen. And that's where the chapter ends. I feel like they're getting a cue for my what ifs, and it's like them, and that's where we're going to be leaving things for right now. All in all, this chapter wasn't as much fun as the last one, but in a way it wasn't trying to be. This chapter was all about tying up all the loose ends of the battles around the world that we got from the last couple of chapters, and instead refocusing everything to the fight between Goku and Moro initially. The fact that Vegeta isn't here at all, and hasn't even been mentioned in passing yet, gives me the feeling that he will make a late entrance and pick up the slack for Goku, because, and this is my supposition, I don't think that this power of Goku's is going to be the thing that brings Moro down. It's been shown too soon. Now granted, Goku's been forced to show his hand a little earlier than he would have liked to, what with Saganbo being toyed with and having to buff up and stuff, but still, this power will not be the thing that ends Moro. Now, the fact that we are getting the first stage, Omen or Sign or whatever you want, instead of just going straight to Mastered, shows that Goku is somewhat holding back. He is probably waiting for Vegeta to arrive to offer assistance, or maybe he's sussing out his foe, not necessarily going out all out from the start. And to me, that feels like we're going to be getting a couple more chapters yet, with us ending at a nice round number of about chapter 60, where we will get the conclusion of this battle and this story. As for Moro, despite him not doing anything in this chapter, really, he has somewhat redeemed himself in my eyes in regards to his behaviour. He has reaffirmed his solitary stance and how he will use his soldiers to his own ends. Now it's down to him once more. He threw away Saganbo for sport, and the way he did that was really scary, and something that you don't often see in modern day Dragon Ball. Maybe in early Z, but not here. If this gets animated, I'm sure it's going to be toned down for the kiddie-winks, but if it isn't, I can expect a few nightmares to be established from many, because that was chilling. I mean, I didn't expect that, especially after how he sort of spared or allowed 7-3 to be taken away for recovery, perhaps. Might we see the android make a resurgence? Time will tell. In any case, this chapter was alright overall, but I feel like the paneling could have been improved somewhat to make it more fresh and stand out more. There was a lot of content here, to be sure, and very much so since it was nearly 50 pages long. I hope the structure improves for the grand finale. That's all I'll say. Oh, and you want to know more about the Dragon Team and what they did here? Well, there's no point. They're done now. Everyone's done. It's down to Goku now, and possibly Vegeta. We all know it. So what do you guys think of Chapter 58? Has this gotten you curious for what is to come next, or are you feeling that it's just going to get all the more predictable? Vote now up top, and I shall see you next month for Chapter 59. Until then, guys, catch you later!